one who was helped by the power of the ghaib. He rides his horse and he attacks the enemy, disrupting their right wing and disrupting their left wing. He separates the army altogether. The narrations mention they didn't know whether this is Abbas on the battlefield or it is Haydar himself who has come from Alam al-Barzakh. The army is split into two, 4,000 archers dispersed, and Abu al-Fadil comes into the Furat. The son of Haydar al-Karrar has conquered the Furat. Maktal mentions he gets off his horse into the river. Allah, Allah. The entire army is now looking at Abu al-Fadil. 30,000 of these lu'ana, their attention is directed towards Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He gets off his horse and he takes a handful of water. In front of the enemies, he takes a handful of water. Then he looks at the water and he says, Ya nafsu ba'da al-Husayni huni, wa ba'dahu la kunti an takuni. هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين لا والله لا والله ما هذا من فعال ديني ما هذا من فعال صادق اليقين. These are the words of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He talks to his nafs. He says, oh nafs, what is there to live after Hussein? How can you drink this cold water when Hussein is under siege? And then he says, La wallah, I can never quench my thirst. This is not from the actions of a person who is sincere in the religion, that he would quench his thirst while Hussein is thirsty. The narration mentions Abu al-Fadil drops the water back into the Furat. He covers his way, fills up the water bag, the mashk, with water. He sets it around his shoulder, that comes around his chest. He rides or he mounts onto his horse. And now Abu al-Fadil, his determination, his sight is based on one thing, and that is reaching the Khaybaga. Even if he doesn't reach the Mukhayyam or the Khaybaga, but the water should reach the children. This is the only goal in the mind of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The narration mentions that he gone to his horse and he attacked the enemies like a roaring lion. Umar ibn Sa'ad says, form an army and a barrier and attack him, for indeed if this water reaches the tent of Al-Hussein, we shall never be able to conquer them. The narration mentioned that 4,000 archers began to shoot arrows towards Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. The son of Amir al-Mu'mineen accepted and welcomed all the arrows with his chest and his neck. At one time, Abu al-Fadl began to ride his horse past some plains that were covered with palm trees. Therefore, when Imam al-Abbas was riding through one of the palm trees, one of the la'in by the name of Zayd ibn Rukkad was hiding behind the palm tree. As soon as Abu al-Fadil passed him, Zayd ibn Rukkad al-la'in struck Abu al-Fadil on the right arm. He severed the arm of Abu al-Fadil in its entirety. He severed the right arm of Abu al-Fadil in its entirety. Abu al-Fadil takes the flag and he takes the sword in his left hand. He looks at his severed arm on the ground. Look at what Abu al-Fadil says. He's looking at his arm severed on the ground. He says, In kata'tumu yamini fa inni uhami abadan an dini. أنا إمام الصادق اليقيني ونجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. Abu al-Fadl says to them, even if you strike my right arm, even if you sever my right arm, I shall still protect my deen. I shall still protect my Imam and the grandson of Rasulullah. They thought that they would weaken Abu al-Fadl, but when they severed his right arm, they strengthened the determination of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl continues to ride his horse, the alam flying high above his head and the sword also in one hand. His primary goal is that he defends Damascus from any sort of harm or from any sort of arrows. As he is riding through another palm tree, another la'in by the name of Hakim ibn Tufail struck Abu al-Fadl on the left arm. He severed the left arm of Abu al-Fadl. Allah, Allah, the sword of Abu al-Fadl fell down. Look at the courage, look at the loyalty, look at the stance of Abu al-Fadl. The Maktal says that Abu al-Fadl took the alam between his chest and he held it with what remained from his severed arms. He held the mashk with his teeth. He looks at his left arm severed on the ground. Look at the words of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl says, oh nafs, he talks to his nafs. He's saying, oh Abbas, his nafs, he's saying, oh nafs, do not be scared of the kuffar and have glad tidings of the Almighty. Indeed, they cut my left arm because of their hatred. Ya Allah, burn them in hell for eternity for what they did. The mashk is between the teeth. Still nobody has the courage to attack Abu al-Fadl. Umar ibn Sa'ad says, attack him with arrows from every direction. 4,000 archers directed all their arrows towards Abu al-Fadl. He had no arms to defend him or protect him. The narration mentions from the arrows that pierced him, the first arrow came and pierced his eye. The second arrow came and it pierced the mashk with the water bag. The water began to flow down onto the plains of Karbala. My heart tells me that it is here that even the courage and the hope of Abu al-Fadl began to drain down with the water. Abu al-Fadl on his horse, the water bag is empty. He doesn't know, if I go back to the tent, how do I face the children without water? And if I turn back to the Furat, how do I fill the water when I do not have arms? The narration mentions that at this point, while Abu al-Fadl was on his horse, one of the people from the enemies came. فَضَرَبَهُ لَعِينُ بِالْعَمُودِ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ. The narration mentions that the la'in came and he struck Abu al-Fadl with the tent pole on his head. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين.